Hello, my loyal servants of the anti-global movement, and my name is Nelson. In history, the villain, Hitler, or at least he's a villain as far as the public is led to believe, is a supreme leader bent on wreaking pure destruction on the world, and whatever he doesn't do in this goal, he does purely because he derives power or pleasure from the pain of others. When I finally got to know Hitler, whereas at first I thought he was the absolute form of evil, with a little bit of free thinking, I realised that while he may not be the hero that we want, he's the hero we desperately need. Let's think of a second of what Hitler wants. At first he seems megalomaniacal as he seeks Chancellor of Germany for the sake of power, but then he later reveals how he saw the effects of a Jew-run society on his own people, and experienced the abominable suffering that followed due to the 1919-23 economic crisis in Weimar Germany post-World War I, of which he fought in to save his country, whilst the rich stayed on top and the poor starved in the streets. He warned his fellow descendants in Germany to act to save their country, and they didn't, and much pain and suffering was caused by this inaction, by the inability to make hard decisions for the sake of the future. As I read more and more, I kept trying to find a way to hate Hitler, despise him, because the moral person within me would do that, and I want to project to the world that I'm a good person who protects the lives of the innocent and strives for justice in all matters of my life. When he attacked France, who placed the Treaty of Versailles in Germany, which destroyed the country, I felt without thinking that Hitler was evil. But then again, Hitler would have left France alone if they hadn't occupied the Rhineland and set the treaty, shown by the fact he didn't challenge the Schleswig-Holstein border. Hitler continues to act in amicable ways throughout the war, and repeatedly shows no thirst for death. He lets France operate as a puppet state in the war, and prior to the war he became a vegetarian, showing sympathy for animals. The rest of the global community attacks Hitler, but they should only be angry with themselves for forcing the Treaty of Versailles in the first place. No war had to happen in this situation. You might argue that Hitler initiates the war by invading Czechoslovakia, but surely if you need to unite your people into one country, and there's unfairly drawn borders in countries, splitting ethnicities, as we now blame the colonial powers for doing in the Middle East, quite honourably, Hitler allows people who want to join his nation under one ethnicity to do so. The situation isn't much different from Poland. Give Hitler the land and you get to live. Sure, some people in the war may perish, but that's the only way to secure a homeland for his people. Surely, if they believe in a greater purpose, one artificially created nation shouldn't stand in the way, right? Hitler also doesn't kill, hurt, or disapprove of any other minorities if they don't threaten the well-being of his nation. Shown in the 1936 Berlin Olympics, where Hitler treated all competitors amicably, including one James Cleveland Owens, an American sprinter, who remarked that he was treated better in Berlin than in the USA, where he still couldn't sit at the front of the bus. America, in the end, tried to kill Hitler, whom he respected as the country had large quantities of ethnic Germans. Hitler won me over at this moment because even if I didn't quite understand his purpose yet, I sensed wisdom in him and that he had understood a deeper truth that I hadn't quite grasped yet. I'm not saying Hitler has never killed unreasonably, but from what I've read, his actions were very rational, his killings only to preserve his country, though I don't fault the global community for trying to stop him. They thought that his plot to wipe out 6 million Jews were insane, but as Hitler says, it's merciful, and can any of us really argue with that? The Jews had already taken over a large proportion of power in the country, and had sprung up revolution that had killed many of the citizens' relatives in the last decade, as well as use their power to uproot civilizations such as the boatload of brothels in Weimar Germany, mostly operated by Jews, where extremely underage girls were bought and sold. Furthermore, there is no suffering when you're dead, and if someone could invent a way to mix chemicals to quickly kill 6 million Jews in a few brief seconds, isn't that merciful if the alternative is worse, as people continued to starve in the streets and were forced into prostitution? In addition, overpopulation means eventually people will suffer on a mass scale, but not just in Germany, but the entire world, which Hitler fixed via his genocide and war, as well as getting rid of the people messing up the society, where resources are ubiquitously scarce. Is it even genocide? I suppose having existed is dependent on the memories of the living still hold someone or something in that way. I guess those people did die then. However, it's a pretty easy way to go, and it certainly solves the problem of overpopulation, preventing the future suffering of millions, billions even. Hitler's action perhaps prevent the suffering of an infallible number of beings, and to effect such a change on a universal scale is otherwise impossible. Is one to rely on individual or small collective change, or better yet chance, to ensure that essential resources are evenly available? Is one to rely on individual and small collective change, or better yet chance, to ensure that essential resources are evenly available throughout Germany? Remember, it could take centuries to get this amount of change. This ensures widespread survival in a matter of years, there's no denying that. So, the only question is it the right thing to do? And this is why Hitler is the hero we need, because there's no answering such a large, complex question. In today's world, especially in Western society, people are too afraid to act to do what is necessary, because they are overly concerned about doing what is right. We're projecting to the world that they are a good person, They want to be liked and adored. Leaders want the people to champion them and vote for them. They want the public to sing their praises and call them magnanimous leaders who have drenched the public with their grace. And no one does what needs to be done. The more unpopular an action is, the harder it is to do. Now imagine killing 6 million Jews, something no decent human being would support. That's a hard goal to stand up for and not back down from. But Hitler does it. Not because he enjoys killing, not because he wants to see suffering, but on the contrary, he wants his country to thrive. And if people are going to die, he'd rather have them disappear rather than suffer onto painful ends such as dying in the war. Hitler had the resolve to carry out the most difficult action in history while being abhorred and demonized across the world for decades to come. He had no desire to submit to his own legacy. He only pursued the benefit of the mass of life throughout Germany. And after he does all of that, he just kills himself. No made a last-ditch effort to control power, no statement, no unnecessary suffering fueled by his lust. He just ends it. People often excoriate politicians around the world from promoting war from the safety of their own confines. They have nothing to lose, says the public, and whether a war is justified or not, this is always a valid criticism. But here's a man who lost it all, put his own life at risk in World War I, all for his nation. Some may say that his murders prove his madness, his unrelated thirst for omnipotence. Is that really true? Does he benefit in any way from genocide? If anything, if his desire is power over the populace, he's killing millions of his subjects. No, Hitler does not care about himself, and he's willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice of himself in order to better his country. Jeremy Bentham, the founder of Utilitarianism, defined utility as the sum of all pleasure that results from an action, minus the suffering of anyone involved in the action. Think of all the sum total of all pleasure that results in killing 6 million people. It means enough resources to go around, and hence survivability and the potential to thrive for all those who remain. The suffering exists, yes, but as soon as the current set of life in Germany passes, or even as soon as some time passes, the pain will subside and new beings will come to life and will benefit from those resources. The amount of life that will benefit due to Hitler's actions is exponentially greater than those that will suffer from it. Additionally, in utilitarianism, no one's interest can be valued more than others, so it doesn't matter what ethnicity is gone, as the elimination of life is equal among all types of being, and so are the benefits that will come from that action. Hitler is the true utilitarian.
Yeah, I know what thou mayest be thinking. Isn't this a quite wacky video and a mildly stimulating idea? I wonder how they're going to try to say that Chinese can be a conspiracy theory, when clearly it is an ethnicity, category of people who identify with each other, usually based on presumed similarities such as common language, ancestry, history, society, culture, national or social treatment within their residing area, and not a conspiracy theory. Well, thou art definitely incorrect. The whole concept itself, being Chinese, is promoted to create division in governments and bureaucracies trying to protect their ranks and their positions. Ethnicity, race, gender, sex, nation, they're all used to shrewdly tear us apart. Chinese as an idea is incorrect. Sometimes they look like this, but sometimes not. Sometimes they speak this language, sometimes
That is why when moving forward through history, I will march with Hitler, Lord Hitler, and I call upon my loyal compatriots in the anti-global movement to bow before Hitler as well. And together, we will end suffering, we will make a better world. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe down below, and let me know in the comments what your opinion of Hitler's actions are. See you then.